Good evening, and welcome back to our It's Story Time. I might mention in my last video because it's about I don't know if I've told this story. It's about how I started my little hockey history of the past games. Goes back to when this pandemic began, this COVID-19 thing. Yeah, I started right about the time this pandemic started March 11th, 2020. Back in the days when the NHL was a fledgling league. Started with 4 teams, and then 6 games in, Montreal Wanderers after 6 games had their arena burned down, and it's like, yeah, no, we're done. It was quite a different time between 1918 and even in reality where we are now in 2023. That's like 105 years ago. 105? Yeah, 105. I'm at 1972 right now, so it's going to be like 55 years. No, 55 postseasons. Yeah, we'll be 55 postseasons when I'm done 1972. Start, even in 1918, and whoever won the National Hockey League, whoever won the playoffs in the National Hockey League, actually did not win the Stanley Cup. They won the O'Brien Trophy. They had to play a team that won the Pacific Coast League playoffs for the Stanley Cup. It was the NHL that dominated. Won every one between 1918 and 1926, except for 1925 when the Victoria Cougars won. The Victoria Cougars are now the Detroit Red Wings. And the Portland Rosebuds, I believe, became the Chicago Blackhawks. Bruins were an expansion team. Yeah, there was another team that ended up with the Hamilton Bulldogs, who went on strike as they went from 24 games to 30 games, and Tigers players felt like, yeah, well, we played an extra 6 games, we should get more money. Decided to go on strike. Never played another game again in Hamilton. Ended up becoming the New York Americans. Well, their players' contracts ended up being sold to the group from New York, becoming the Americans, New York Americans. New York Rangers ended up getting, yeah, it was the New York Rangers. It was the third team that they got left over. They picked and chose which players they wanted. But yeah, it went from 4, then shrunk to 3, and went as high as 10 in the 20s. Went through many different playoff formats. Some of them are just like leave you thinking, what the hell? They throughout the 30s and into the 40s. Where they had when they had 2 divisions, the first place teams for some reason ended up playing each other. So instead of the 2 best teams playing for the cup, 2 best teams ended up playing for the right to go to the cup. And the second and third place teams in the American division and the Canadian division cross-pollinated and played each other in the first a 2-game total goal series, then a best of 3 series, in the quarters and the semis. And then eventually when the Pittsburgh Pirates / Philadelphia Quakers, not the Pittsburgh Pirates baseball team, but there was a NHL team named the Pittsburgh Pirates. Pittsburgh Pirates / Philadelphia Quakers folded, and the Ottawa Senators / St. Louis Eagles folded, and eventually the Montreal Maroons folded. League for 4 seasons had 7 teams, 1 division. Had the top 2 teams play a best of 7 semi-final. The winner going to the Stanley Cup, and they had the 3rd and 4th place teams play each other, and the 5th and 6th place teams play each other in a best of 3 quarterfinal, and the winners who play the best of 3 semifinal, and then the winners both semifinals play for the Cup. It's like, and then the New York Americans disappeared. Turned out to be permanent. We hit the original 6. The NHL figured, nah. So we nearly had a different playoff format. They decided first place team and the 3rd place team played in one series, and the 2nd place team and the 4th place team played in the other. And the winners played for the Stanley Cup. And that carried on into when the league expanded to 12 teams. They kept the same playoff format as instead of one division, they had the original 6th division and the expansion 6th division. Same format, first place team versus 3rd, 2nd versus 4th. It is right up until my previous season that I finished, which was 71. Yeah, Minnesota, I think, and Philadelphia had 4 or 5 games left, and Minnesota lost all 5 of them, and Philadelphia went like 2-2, and Minnesota ended up finishing 4th to avoid playing Chicago. Well, even in the early 70s, was a pretty decent team. No, it was actually St. Louis that passed them. St. Louis, I ended up getting stuck with Chicago and lost, and Minnesota played Philadelphia and beat them, I think. And just saw this, they figured, I don't know, that looked awfully suspicious. Decided, like, okay, we're not going to do that anymore. First place team will now play the 4th place team. I actually started with the playoffs I'm doing right now, 72. 1st versus 4th, 2nd versus 3rd. And when I get to 74, 75, format playoff is going to change again, where by then we'll have 16 teams. I'm at 8. That'll be 18 teams. I'm at 14 right now. After the season, there now finishes. Go from 14 to 16 as the Atlanta Flames and the New York Islanders will be added. And then after 74, when the Kansas City Scouts and the Washington Capitals get added, that's when not only when the playoff format changes, also they had a division realignment of 9. You have a Commonwealth Conference and the Prince of Wales Conference, and of 9 teams in each division. 9 teams in each conference, and each conference will have a division of 5 and a division of 4. And then obviously whoever finishes at top of each conference gets the Prince of Wales Trophy or the Campbell Conference Bowl. It wasn't really a bowl. So it'll be a 12 teams will get in there. You got 4 division winners. And this is when the Blackhawks end up deciding to go from good to mediocre. It's crazy when mediocre will still get you a division. And Chicago had some mediocre seasons and still finished first, and it was in the Smythe, when they were in the Smythe. So you don't have, we could suck and still win a division and still get a bye into the quarters. The top 4 teams had to be division winners, so if they went in the quarterfinals, they got the bye, and everybody else would be seeded 5 through 12. It would be 5 versus 12, 6 versus 11, 7 versus 10, 8 versus 9. And the winners of those series will be move on to the quarterfinals and will be reseeded. There were a couple seasons where a division winner would play a division winner, which is crazy because you'd have a team like, I don't know, let's say Los Angeles. There was a season there. They had a very good season, 103 points. They only ended up in a preliminary round because they ended up finishing second behind Montreal, who won the division and got a bye. It's like, yeah, every playoff format had a flaw. And of course, when the league expanded it, actually, first the league shrunk from 18 to 17 because Barons North Stars merger, and then the WHA NHL merger, which added 4 teams. Then you had 1 versus 16, 2 versus 15, and that for 80 and 81, and then divisional playoff. But yeah, so 900 as of after this game I played this afternoon, 903 postseason games that I've counted. There's more. I've been at this for nearly 4 years. 4 years in March. Over 900 games. By the time I finish this year, it'll be 55 postseasons. I still got a long ways to go. It'll be like, let's see, 51 more postseasons before I get caught up to the current one. It'll be another 11 before I catch up to the Oilers Day by Day Twitter account, which is recapping from what happened 40 seasons ago, which in this case would be the 83-84 season. So yeah, started in the middle of the last season in the WHA, and here we are. So yeah, that's the story of how I got started with this, and seeing the league evolve from expanding to 10, shrinking to 6, and then the expansion again in many different playoff formats. And there'll be a few more playoff formats to come yet, and many more seasons. So yeah, it's been a ride. Got my team hockey pucks here. I still need 11 more mini hockey sticks. That'll be current with that. But yeah, that's the story of how I got this thing started, where I am at, and what's to come. And pretty soon I'll be hitting 1973 in about slightly less than a week. So in the meantime, and in between time, stay tuned for the next one.